Hey Amber, this is your deadlift critique. Let's go to your deadlift now. First of all, this rear side view is not bad. If I ask for a right hand side view, I don't actually remember which side I asked for, but if I ask for a right hand side view, it's dead on perpendicular to the sagittal plane, so right on the side. If I ask for a front view, it's actually at the front, like facing you. But this is okay. We can see quite a lot from this position here. I've seen it a few times, but let's just play it and let's get into it. Let's look at your setup. I can't really see what your feet are doing because the bench is in the way, but they look okay. The other, we talked about the squat and rooting into the ground, or rooting your feet into the ground. You can do this with the deadlift as well. One thing I noticed straight away with your grip is that you're actually bringing your arm underneath the bar at the front, like you're coming around the bar from the front. This is what this is doing is you're having to drop your hip a little bit to actually sustain this position. If you actually find if you bring your wrist up this way more, you'll be able to open your hip a bit more. This is just really a matter of efficiency. But yeah, I noticed that straight away. You're actually bringing your hand underneath the bar from the front. And if you can imagine, you have to actually close your hip up to allow that range. So bring your wrist up here more. You actually hold it as well, which is kind of interesting. Okay. First thing I want you to do is stop bouncing the bar. Every rep I want you to reset. I don't expect you to stand up, but I want you to reset your position. Because you see here, every rep you do, your hip heights change. Every rep, your back position changes. See that little disturbance here on the third rep? So what I want you to do is stop every time, reset your breathing, your bracing, and your tension, and then pull. Because let's just have a look at the setup on the first one. Okay, so you can see how low your hip position is here. It's hard to see sort of what your knees are doing in relation to your ankles, in relation to your hip from this angle, but they should not be going bulbous. They should not be going in. At no time should they touch, for example. Also hard to see where your shoulder is in relation to your hand, in relation to your knee. So maybe next week we'll get a front on angle so I can have a look at that. But you do have a nice neutral spine here that I don't have too much of a problem with. Okay. You can see the first thing that happens, you've got quite a low hip position. So the first thing that happens is your hip shoots up. Okay. This is really the result of positioning of the scapula, or where the scapula and the humerus attach, or where the humerus attaches to the scapula in relation to the bar. Basically, your scapula should be straight bang over the bar, and if that does occur, your hip and your shoulder will move synergistically together. Okay, just at the lockout there. Let me just see if I can get a bang on your lockout. Okay. Shoulders back, which is good. They don't have to be too far excessively back, because what happens is if you bring your shoulder back too far, you find that people just hinge on their lower back, which is not great. What I want you to do, it's not too bad though. What I want you to do is squeeze your glutes so you lock your hip out, and squeeze your quads so you lock your knees out and you stand nice and tall. But this is not too bad. You can see here you're still maintaining that round wrist position on this side, which is really interesting. I can't see if you're doing it on the other side, but it would be interesting to see. Okay, obviously you can see here with the bouncing, you can see now how high your hip is, because you're not actually dead stopping the bar, you're bouncing the bar. So you can see in this case, where you had your hip a bit higher, your hip and your shoulders are moving synergistically upwards together. And that means the bar transitions from the ground through to lockout fairly evenly. It doesn't have like a jerking motion. I realise this is really, really lightweight. If you look at your face, you're like, oh, that's just so light. I just want to get the basics right, and we can move it up a little bit. So hip a little bit too low here. I want to bring your knees back, hip up slightly. part of the actual the set of the deadlift is the breathing, bracing, and the tension component. So nice big breath, and as you squeeze your abs before you pull, I want you to what I want you to do is pull your shoulder blades down. And when you do that effectively, you create this knot. You create lots of upper back tension, like sort of lower thoracic, upper lumbar sort of region tension. So you can see, in actual fact, the first rep you did was probably the I'd like to say the worst, but the worst rep you did. Hip a little bit too low, and then with your bouncing, you had your hip almost just the right position, and you can see your hip and shoulders move synergistically together. Now, the first rep, even though the hip's low, it is a safe position to be in, but it's not a very efficient position to be in. Okay, so what I want you to work on this week is try starting with your hip a little bit higher compared to your first set. I don't want you to bounce the bar. I want you to reset every time, and I want to see some intentful breathing and bracing, so holding your abs tight after a big breath in and pulling your scapula or your shoulder blades down. And what that will do as well is it will engage your lats, so your lats extend your shoulder, which will keep the bar nice and close to your body. Yeah, I think that's enough for this week. Good luck.